Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game I played for a week and then I'll talk about it. This week's game is Palamedes for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was released in 1990 and it's a puzzle game developed by Natsume and published by Hot B, and also there'll be spoilers up ahead just so you know, but first a little backstory. So I checked on YouTube for a top 10 NES game list, and Mike Matei's top 20 list appeared, and the first game on that list was Palamedes, and I never played it, so I gave it a shot. So when you start up the game, you get the Hot B logo and you get the Palamedes text with dates and licenses, and then you get colorful flashing blocks spelling out Palamedes. And from this menu you can select one player, which is you against the CPs, two player, which is you against a friend, and in your tournament you play a bunch of matches against other CP players. So when you start up a game, there are a couple of things on screen. So you have a score, you have the high score, stage number and lines, and a guy moving around dices, which I will talk about. So this game is a bit complicated for me to explain, but imagine inverted Tetris, but instead of the Tetris blocks you have these dices. So at the top of the screen you have different types of dices, like 1 to 6 basically, and you are a little guy at the bottom of the screen shooting up dices. You cycle through the dice that you have on your hand with the B button, 1 to 6, and you fire them up at the top screen. So an example of a game would be at the top of the screen, let's say it's a 4. So you shoot your own dice 4 at it, and at the bottom of the screen that 4 would appear. So here's where the poker rules apply. So if you have a straight flush, 1 to 6, or if you have like 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, they will appear down there once you collect them, and you push down on the D-pad to cash in, and depending on what type of combination you get, different numbers of lines will disappear at the top of the screen. So it's a bit like Tetris, but also a bit like poker, and also a bit like Yahtzee now that I think about it. So when I started playing this game at the beginning of the week, I was super confused because I didn't really know what to do with this game. I had no idea, so I had to look up on internet and YouTube and see actual gameplay to actually realize what was going on. And while doing some research, there's actually rules to the game. But the funny thing is they're printed on the card itself. So if you have a classic Nintendo console, you won't be able to see the cartridge or the rules. If you have a top loader, that's not a problem, but it's just crazy. Thinking about it now, there probably were some rules in a manual, but I didn't have a manual this week. So, gameplay. Palamedes is a dice poker tetris-ish game where you clear out lines of rows in order to get a high score and win the game. Control the D-pad moves the character at the bottom of the screen, throwing the dice sets. The A button shoots dices, the B button switches the number on the dices, 1 to 6, and the stop button pauses. And if you get a combination at the bottom of the screen, you press down on the D-pad and you will clear some lines. Graphics. So the graphics are very simple because it's a NES game, so all the colors are different between the different dice sets, so they're very easy to recognize. And the funny thing is that the box art of this game is absolutely bonkers. Go look it up online. Sound and music. Kiyohiro Sada and Grosan Fushusham made a soundtrack for this game. It's happy, chirpy, and it reminded me of Kirby on the Game Boy for some reason. Easter eggs, secrets, and glitches. So I watched a speedrun performed by Arcus. He beat the game in 8 minutes and 49 seconds in the tournament mode, and that was kind of cool. And as I said before, the stupid, or perhaps the brilliant thing about the game is that the rule set is printed on the actual card label itself. So if you have a top loader, you're gonna have a good day figuring out how to play the game, but if you have a classic NES console, not so much. So in conclusion, I wrote, no, play something else, but if you like Tetris and similar puzzlers, maybe check this one out. So I actually liked the music, I was pleasantly surprised, and at the end of the week I understood well enough the rules and how to play the game, so I had a little bit of fun at least. But the downside of this, as I said before, the labels have the rule printed on them, and I didn't have the rules at the beginning. It's one of those things that back in the day was probably a smart thing to do, but nowadays not so much. I can't recommend it, but if you like Tetris, maybe check this one out. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.